hosting this forum and for allowing candidates a platform in the time of COVID. Really, really appreciate it. I'm running for 45th District Court. This is not the same as Maura. Maura is running for the 6th Circuit. I'm running for a smaller jurisdiction. So 44th District covers Huntington Woods, Oak Park, Pleasant Ridge, and Royal Oak Township. We have 2 judges here. We have 2 really good judges, Judge Apple and Judge Goubeau. Judge Goubeau is retiring. He is aged out. I'm fortunate enough to be endorsed by him for his seat. But we have 2 really good judges, and I want to continue the good work that they're doing, and then some. So my passion is criminal justice and criminal justice reform. I want to see us expand our specialty courts so that we can divert people out of the criminal justice system. Right now, in the 45th, we have a mental health court, we have a veterans court, we do not have a sobriety court, and we do not have a domestic violence court. So I would like to see us have those. That's going to mean fighting for funding because specialty courts are expensive. In the time of COVID, I think we're all going to be seeing less revenue sharing. But the reality is that, you know, because the legislature has been defunding and underfunding local municipalities and our safety nets, everything is kind of falling disproportionately on the criminal justice system. So that means whether that's right or it's wrong, it is what it is, and we need to get creative about how we can solve the problems that are affecting our society. So, you know, you hear a lot about mass incarceration, people being jailed for driving while license suspended. I recently read the pretrial task force recommendations regarding jail and pretrial incarceration, and I was absolutely stunned to see that the 3rd highest reason that we jail people in the state of Michigan is for driving while license suspended. Now, the majority of my practice now is doing very difficult, high-profile homicide cases. So, you know, to think that that's the 3rd highest reason that we are jailing people in Michigan, something has gone significantly wrong here. So we obviously need to address these issues in the court system. So I'm a little bit about my background. I am working for the Fair Michigan Justice Project right now. I'm the special prosecutor. We prosecute hate crimes in the city of Detroit and Wayne County. We partner with Ingham County. We focus on the homicides involving trans women of color in the 6 Mile Woodward area. I also do select cold case homicides for the Attorney General's office. Before that, I was a prosecutor in Wayne County. I worked in the elder abuse unit. I also served on special assignment and in the homicide division. And back in 2015, and this is going to segue into another reason that I want to run for this position. Back in 2015, when I was in the homicide unit, we had several trans women of color murdered in the city, and we weren't able to solve those cases. Now, to have several people in one 4 square block area murdered from the same demographic and all of them unsolved, that's a problem. So fortunately, Kim Worthy allowed myself, we partnered with Dana Nessel and Kim Worthy, formed the Fair Michigan Justice Project. I came in to do the special prosecutions. Chief Craig gave us access to his files. And we quickly learned that there was an issue with cultural competency, that the victims and the witnesses were being misgendered. And obviously when you're in law enforcement and you're disrespectful to your witnesses or your victims, you're not going to get very far in your case. So we started doing cultural competency training. We now go around the state doing it. And now we are closing all the cases in that area. This project is kind of mushroomed into including civil rights, employment. We have a naming project now, and we fought for resources to help victims of crime and witnesses receive temporary shelter while they were going through the criminal justice system. We also started to invest in restorative justice programs. So when we had some of the lower level cases, we could work with the district courts to figure out what is the best way to help the defendant in cases where this is not a violent offender, somebody who does not deserve a conviction that's going to cause them to lose their job, their employment. We have terrible public transportation here, all of these issues. So we partnered with Corktown Health, we partnered with the Detroit Crime Commission, we worked with the Michigan Council to End Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. And what I realized is that if you care about criminal justice reform and changing things, it's going to happen in the district courts. That's where it's going to happen because that's where your judges have the most contact with the litigants. Does anybody have any questions about 45th District Court or about criminal justice reform? And Michael Steinberg, I got to ask you, are you eating peanut butter?
I needed to get some protein in. I'm busted.
I'm jealous. I want the peanut butter. Anyways, what's your question?
Let's go no sugar in it. Okay, Jamie, hi. Good to see you. And question. Okay. Yeah. My criminal defense attorney is going, oh my God, I got another prosecutor running, but that's okay. I want to hear What's the most important factor you think should be considered for bond, being that Justice McCormick or Chief Justice McCormick is all on bond reform right now, being that's what I will see you the most for if you're a judge.
So I'm sure you see this, and this is something that I've always, I haven't done a lot of the lower level felonies lately, but you see these defendants in courtroom and they're charged with like felonious assault, okay? If this is their first offense, they're gonna be getting probation for that, correct? So they're gonna get probation. Their guidelines are probably like 0 to 11, 0 to 17 months, so it's probationable. And what happens? They get a cash bond that they can't make, and they want to exercise their right to a trial, and they have to sit in jail because they can't make that $500 cash bond. That's crazy. I support what is coming out of the task force. It's expensive to incarcerate people. It rips families apart. But what would I look at when I'm thinking about bond considerations? Are they a flight risk? Are they going to come back? We know looking through criminal histories that we can see their court appearances, when they've showed up, when they haven't showed up, if they have a history of showing up, that obviously, inures to them having, a low bond or a personal bond. Also, was there predatory conduct involved? Is that person a danger to society? I recently had a homicide defendant who had a prior for carjacking, a prior for armed robbery. And then when you look at the police reports, it was almost a similar behavior that was committed in the case where he's charged with a homicide. So you had this similar conduct, you have prior violent felonies. That person obviously is going to be potentially a danger to the community. So those two factors, I think judges have to make a really good record when they're going to hold somebody before trial or after a preliminary exam. But you have to meet that criteria, and we just can't be jailing people. And I know you see this, Michael Steinberg, that sometimes people are jailed to move the docket, right? Because if you're going to hold somebody when they could just get probation, and you discourage them from exercising their right to a trial, what's going to happen? They're going to plead, and that case is now off the docket, and the prosecutor has another stat. So I'm very cognizant of all these issues. And I want to point out that, yes, I am a prosecutor, but I'm also a prosecutor who has worked for reform. Our victims also deserve to be treated with respect. And I know, working in the justice system, that sometimes not the type of justice you get depends on the cultural competency of your law enforcement officers, your prosecutor, and your judge. And I will say that our project also, when we find out that members of our community that we work with are charged with a crime, we go into the courtroom and we make sure that our defense attorneys aren't misgendering them. And we make sure that our judges aren't misgendering them. Because even when you're charged with a crime, you should be treated with respect.
A question for JAIMIE? Go ahead.
Hello. Have a couple of questions for you. I'm, not very knowledgeable about the legal system. So forgive me if I'm asking kind of a off-the-wall question. I was very impressed to hear you say that you would like to establish some more specialized courts like sobriety courts and domestic violence court. I feel very strongly that that's very much an issue. And I'm just wondering on what level in the criminal justice system or in the court system would those specialized courts start operating? If you could get those operating, would that be on the circuit court level? Would that be, on the district level? If you could clarify that.
So
for
district,
me,
and this, I'm not interested in running for circuit court. I'm not interested in the Court of Appeals. I'm interested in the district court, because this is where you're going to implement these programs, and they're not going to magically appear. Your judges have to fight for funding. So it's really the district court where you have the most contact with the litigants and you have the most chance to affect criminal justice reform. So district court deals with people the most.
Okay, so that's the level at which you would hope to establish those kinds
Correct.
of courts.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
I also wanted to point out, more online services. In Oakland County, we can't e-file, which is crazy to me. We do that in Wayne County. E-filing is a great thing. And I want more online services for our court. Right now you can pay a ticket online, but you can't negotiate it. You can't set up a meeting with an attorney. I fought parking ticket in Detroit by submitting evidence online and got it dismissed. You know, easy. Didn't have to take off work, didn't have to pay for parking. So, you know, more online services also increases access to justice, and in a time of COVID, cuts down on congestions in your courts.
Quick correction, we have e-filing in Oakland.
Oh, when? So when did you get e-filing?
And it's been around, and in fact, Macomb is expanding it to criminal now and domestic. So
I'm talking about criminal. I have to
Right.
I have to personally drive up to file for criminal. So
Okay.
civil, fantastic, but we should be
We've
e-filing
expanded.
for criminal. cases.
Sorry, we've expanded. During
Yes.
COVID, we expanded. We got SCAO to approve us for all case types.
Lisa
Thank you.
Brown, thank you.
Thank you.